Hello everyone, welcome to Doppio. So in the call here is Michael and I'm Helgard. And we've worked for 10 years, we've worked together at our company Reive, a white label fintech platform. And Doppio is a new project. It's a self-custody wallet for regular people and everyday use. And we're making these short videos to share what we're working on, our research, lessons, and insights, in particularly in the world of self-custody, and trying to make these more sort of complex concepts digestible for people that are interested to learn more. So the topic we'll dive into today is just an introduction to self-custody. So we're going to run through a couple of questions and just have a discussion. So I think, Michael, maybe we can start with just the first question. Why is self-custody important?
So the interesting thing about self-custody is that it wasn't really possible before crypto. So with traditional financial systems, it's digital financial systems. It's not possible to hold your funds digitally without relying on a bank or a third-party institution. And to understand why self-custody is important now that it's possible with cryptocurrency, it's important to think of all the problems we've had with traditional financial institutions. And so in recent years, we've seen a lot of exchanges either mismanage funds or get hacked. The most extreme examples were FTX and Mt. Gox, where customers lost billions of dollars. And it's not just in the crypto world. We've also seen regular banks failing. Often these are customer funds are protected by the government stepping in to make customers whole. But we have seen cases where banks have collapsed and customers have ended up losing funds, especially when customer funds are held maybe not by a bank, but by a fintech. Or further back in history, we've seen banks collapsing and people losing funds. So if you hold your own funds, you protect against that risk. And you also protect against the risk of a bank or the company helping you manage your money suddenly blocking access or freezing your funds. So all of these problems go away if you switch to self-custody.
Yeah, so I think those two, like the bank mismanaging or you getting blocked access is what stands out most. But maybe one thing I've seen from our experience working on Reive projects is that when fintechs come to us to want to build a new use case and they want to innovate in finance, then what then happens also is the end user have to really trust that fintech doing things properly and all the providers that sits below them to power the use case. Whereas if you innovate purely in a self-custody world, then the end user can be more confident that they remain in control of their funds while they can benefit from these interesting new features that the fintech brings to the table. So not only is it blocking access to your funds or mismanagement, but also it's limiting the ability to innovate freely because there has to be so much protections and things in place to mitigate those risks of a fintech building and managing things for the user. So maybe we can take a step back and just talk a bit about how does self-custody actually work and what are the options for self-custody at the moment?
So in the crypto world, if you decide to go with self-custody, take custody of your own funds, then typically it means storing the private keys, basically the keys that give you access to your funds on your own devices. And so the simplest version of this is you're just installing a crypto wallet app, and the crypto wallet app generates your private key and stores that on the device itself. And so as soon as you buy some crypto on an exchange and send it to your wallet, that money is just held on your phone. And then the problem with that is if you lose your phone, it's similar to losing cash, which was in your wallet. Money is just gone. And so that's the most basic version of self-custody. But then it actually becomes quite complicated when you try to think of ways to make sure that you're not exposed to these risks, such as losing your phone, getting your phone stolen, getting a virus on your phone that might steal your funds.
And you explained the risks, but what do people typically do to help them mitigate those risks? What are the options available to them today?
So this going back to that basic version, if you install a software wallet on your phone, the traditional approach, or possibly the most popular approach still today, is for the wallet to then show you 12 words, which it asks you to write down. Often the wallets have a message saying, don't store this on your computer, don't copy it somewhere, just write it down on a piece of paper. So you write down those 12 words, and those 12 words are the backup of your private key. So then, as long as you keep those 12 words safe, if you lose your phone, you're okay, because you can get a new phone, install the wallet again, and import those 12 words, and you'll still have access to your funds. So that's the most basic approach. And then the problem shifts to, once you've written down those 12 words, how do you keep them safe? Where do you store them to make sure that you don't accidentally lose it, or that the wrong person doesn't get access to it? It's not easy for someone to steal. And that's one of the big problems with self-custody. And another problem is that because you've got your private key in your wallet, if you get any type of virus on your phone, or if a hacker gets access to your phone, they could steal that private key and steal all of your funds. And so to protect against that problem, it's very popular for people to use hardware wallets, which are specialized devices. The two most common ones are Trezor and Ledger. And you order one of these hardware devices, you follow their instructions for setting it up, and then you can prove your crypto transactions using this hardware wallet. And your private key never leaves the hardware wallet, which means even if you get a virus on your computer, your funds will still be safe. So it's quite a complex space, a lot of different things to think about, but these are two common ways: writing down seed phrases to help protect against loss, and using a hardware wallet to help protect against hackers and viruses.
And one thing I think that many people don't necessarily always understand when they set up a self-custody wallet or writing down the 12 words is that, let's say you securely store those 12 words in a vault or with a bank vault or somewhere safe at home. One of the problems is someone can just take a photo of the 12 words, and they can decide whenever they want to be malicious or steal the funds at any given point in the future. And the problem with that is, let's say you kept something in a bank vault, something valuable, you would be able to notice if it was not there anymore, if someone has taken it. But in this scenario, you won't know that someone's actually stolen your words or that it's been compromised. And what do people typically do to help them mitigate that particular risk?
Here, I guess it's even not a good feeling to have in the back of your mind. Say you decide to put your seed phrase in the bank vault, and then in the back of your mind, you might think, what if some employee at the bank is able to open the vault and take a photo of the words, and then they're just waiting for you to deposit more funds before stealing your funds. And the same thing could be at home. If you put it in your drawer, there's always a chance someone might open your drawer and see the words, take a photo, or either immediately steal your funds or steal it in the future. And so one way people try to mitigate this, at least popular in the crypto community, is by using something like a tamper-proof bag. You can write your words down on a piece of paper, fold the piece of paper so the words are not visible, and then put it inside a tamper-proof bag, which changes color if opened. And so then once you've added it to there, you can be relatively sure that that it hasn't been compromised if the bag hasn't changed color.
Yes, I find interesting about self-custody is you have to have, at least in this stage in the crypto space, you have to have quite a deep knowledge of these fundamentals, but then there are always these little edge cases you have to keep in mind. Getting a tamper-proof bag to help you kind of more rest assured. One thing we didn't mention perhaps is this idea of multi-signature custody and service providers that can help you manage these to do custody and backup a bit better. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that.
I think there are these two problems. One is the backup. So one method of backing up is the seed phrase, and then you need to worry about how to keep it secure. Should it be split between multiple locations? What happens if there's a fire or a flood? These types of things. And then the other part is being protected against viruses or hackers. And so multi-signature is something that can help with both. So different aspects of multi-signature can help you either make sure that you're able to recover your funds in different risk scenarios, and it can help make sure that even if your computer gets a virus or a hacker targets you, your funds will most likely be safe. And one of the popular multi-sig services for keeping your Bitcoin safe is a service called Casa. And this service actually also makes use of hardware wallets. So you subscribe to their service, and then they recommend, or they let you know, to purchase I think a few different hardware wallets. And then they make use of a multi-signature scheme, which basically means that whenever you want to gain access to your funds or make a transaction, it doesn't just require the signature of your private key. It requires multiple private keys, maybe 2 out of 3 keys. So you have your key on your device. There's another key on the Casa servers, and there's another backup key somewhere. And you sign off on a transaction with your device, and then Casa, because they verified your identity, sign off with their device. And this multi-factor security can help protect against hackers. And then the fact that there are multiple keys and you only need 2 out of the 3 or 3 out of the 5 can also help in terms of backup, because if you lose one of the keys, you're still protected.
If we think of what consumers are used to with traditional banking services, online banking, the bank really goes through extreme lengths protecting customers and reducing complexity. Even so far as if your credit card is compromised, you can just block the card, ask for a refund or a reversal of the transaction. And banks are very supportive and almost like empathetic towards consumers in that way. And maybe it's because of regulations, but it's part of their customer service and they're able to do that. But it's quite a big jump to ask everyday people to go and understand what it means to be your own bank. That feels sort of we're taking a step backwards in terms of convenience, what we've been used to with banking services. What do we end up recommending to family and friends? At the moment, it seems that it's the most convenient thing to recommend to people is to leave their money with a trusted exchange that's a custodian of the crypto, something like Coinbase, for example. But let's say people want to move their funds off an exchange. What do we end up recommending to people today?
So to me, it feels like today it's not so easy. And the easiest is just to tell people, maybe keep it with Coinbase. They're a publicly listed company. And hopefully the same thing that happened with FTX and with Mt. Gox and with some other mismanaged or unlucky financial companies doesn't happen to Coinbase. But there is that risk. And then you also see these days with Coinbase themselves and also with other services, even very reputable ones like PayPal, you see people using them, but then one day getting a message that their account has been frozen. And sometimes it could be frozen for a month or even longer. And so it's an easy recommendation, but it does come with some problems. And so then on the other side, you could recommend for people to self-custody their coins. And for me, I don't feel comfortable recommending these single key wallets, things like MetaMask. I feel like there are too many, it's too easy to make a mistake. Often people using them don't understand best practices when they're writing down the seed phrase. And so they might copy it onto a Google Doc on a computer, which is not secure. And that computer might have a virus. And you've seen countless cases where things have been stolen that way, or they might not keep it. They might write it down, but lose it. I guess loss is one of the most common risk scenarios where someone writes down the seed phrase, installs their wallet, and then completely forgets about it. Or maybe they set a password, they add an extra password to the seed phrase backup, and then they forget that password. And so when they come back again a year or two later, they've lost their phone, they can't remember the password, or they can't find the seed phrase. So I don't feel so comfortable recommending these. I do feel like hardware wallets and the instructions around them do give you a bit more peace of mind. So if I recommend to a family member to buy a Trezor, and then I help them set it up properly, where we make sure we write down the seed phrase, make sure they store it securely, same way they would something else of similar value. Then at least we know that we've physically stored the seed phrase securely. And if it's not a massive fortune that's being guarded, maybe it's not so important to protect against fires and earthquakes and very, very extreme scenarios. And then the hardware wallet is offering good protection against potentially having a compromised laptop or phone.
And that's sort of the assumption that you're always in the loop to help them if they get stuck or guide them through if a recovery is needed or something like that. And it's also with the assumption they're not going to use it every day. It's probably primarily for the use case. You acquire some Bitcoin or crypto that you're going to hold for a longer period.
Definitely with my friends and family, I found that They struggle to make the right decisions if I'm not there to help them. They don't always understand the concepts, even after I've tried to explain to them. And then it's not convenient to everyday use for most people. Needing to plug in a device, be sure to check the right things on the device while also working with your computer is quite convenient, and they don't end up using it for everyday transactions. It's maybe just every now and then when they remember that they have a crypto wallet.
So maybe to wrap it up, we can at least tell people some good news. The project we are working on, Doppio, is aiming to bridge this gap between security and convenience, making it possible for people to have something they can be confident to use, but then also it's something they can use in their everyday lives, and they're in control of their funds. So it's not relying on a custodian, and you do self-custody. So thank you for listening. We'll share more of our lessons and insights and research, because there's a lot of research happening in this space in terms of how to make fundamental decisions that can make this possible, secure and convenient in a consumer facing product. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time.